Hey guys, thanks for clicking on this video. This is actually a call that we do every Monday. We call it the WingMan Weekly. We do this at 6 p.m. If you'd like to join us, the link is in the description. I guess I should have asked who is intro with you. All right.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for jumping on the WingMan Weekly show. Me and Steven are going to catch up about this weekend a little bit before we jump into all the topics that we have for tonight. We want to bring some more of our personality back into these shows and make it feel like there's some more life in these things. I think it's really helping doing these coaching calls. We're remembering that people are actually watching this stuff. It's not just numbers that we're seeing, it's actual people. And so we felt like, just talking about what we have going on in our lives and what we're doing over the weekend.
Yeah, and people asking us and being inquisitive and saying, hey, what was going on with this? And it was like, oh yeah, we have not done that in a while. We used to do it a lot more on the calls and just like, I think because we were right next to each other and it was like, we were just having conversations. But now that you are not living here, like we catch up every morning, and then it's like the rest of the day is just work. And I think, especially last month when it was like the schedule was too full. So this month now, just trying to add some time back into the schedule, so it's not just work. And then bringing back more of, like you said, our personality, what's going on with us. Here's a lot of things that we have going on instead of just straight business. Because I think that helps people, but I think it misses that life that we were bringing to it before, and that joy. We have a lot of fun in the morning joking back and forth, and I was just like, oh, I forgot. We used to do that a lot in front of the camera, and now it seems like it might not be like we're having as much fun. Yeah, the people on the 20-minute calls are like, oh, you guys are still enjoying what you guys are doing. It's like, oh yeah, it might not seem like it, but we do. I love working with my brother. I love the partnerships that we have. I like everything outside of the teaching business feels like it's right where I want it to be. The teaching business is something that we are still uncovering and understanding, and we've tested a lot of things and not quite felt like we've clicked in anywhere. But I think the direction that we are moving, and as far as this month goes, is a much better direction. I know.
Yeah,
Go for it.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I know that last month, or the last topic that we were covering, was just discover, understand, serve. I felt like we got everybody to understand what we were doing, and now going from doing calls in all over the place in multiple different groups and then just combining that call was another like good decision for us, so we don't feel as burnt out. And now we just need to bring it back to like, here's what we are trying to help the majority with, and then give people more of a direction. So I think last Monday was really good with just how we answer questions. I want to try that again, but this Monday, just answer the questions more like where I think most people are kind of getting stuck as we move forward.
Yeah, again, just compiling some of the calls that we've had throughout the week, as we're doing like 10 of those a week. It's good to connect with people, and most of them have gone over 20 minutes, which we don't mind, but we feel like that's a lot of like good information, and we're hearing similar themes throughout those calls. So just wanting to bring that stuff to, here for you guys on Facebook who haven't either had the time or the scheduling to set up a meeting with us. We still want that information to be out there for everybody.
Yeah, and I guess let me just talk about last week. Last week was, I think it was really good for us because it was like very exciting. Like we were starting to see a lot of growth in different places, and it got us excited again. And it was just like, because of how we have the schedule, like we're switching gears quite a bit. It was like every time we switch gears, we took it back up to like red line, and then it was like on and off. And especially with the calls, it was like, okay, we're addressing this person that's just starting off. We're addressing this person that now is ready to build a brand. We're addressing this person that's like looking at POD product lines. And it was eye-opening to me to realize like, oh, we are helping a lot of people in different positions, but when we speak openly, it might not seem like we're making a clear message. So I want to clean that up. And then just feeling, I don't know about burnt out, but like the amount of energy exchange last month, I think we were both by Friday just like fried. So normally we kind of decompress at the end, but I think last Friday we were just like, hey, I'll talk to you Monday. And then I went my way and I did kind of what I wanted to do during the weekend, and you did what you wanted to do. And it's interesting, the position that you're in, like as far as Atlanta, close to dad now, and that you're traveling back and forth. And then here with the friends that we've made, and the fact that I have my time back and I can do stuff on the weekends, and then spending time with Desi. It was just interesting to kind of catch up with you this morning. I wanted to just continue that conversation. So just let the people know what you did this week, and then just your thought process on it, and just have that conversation openly here. Because I think it's how I want to address this call with people at different levels. It's interesting the level that you're at and the interesting level I'm at, and even Dad and Mom, and just addressing the levels and kind of seeing our perspective on it is very interesting.
Yeah. Do you want me to like talk specifics about what I did last week, or just how I felt about it?
I guess just how you feel, because if we go into specifics, it's gonna. I think it's gonna drag. Yeah, it's gonna take way too long.
Yeah. We want to do this segment, but I don't want this to be the entire night. So yeah, last week, it was a good thing that you just said like we weren't burnt out, because that means like I think we're like not excited about it, or we don't want to do it anymore. But it was fried, like physically, mentally, spiritually. Just like I was done on Friday. Friday at like 5 p.m. we had a call with some of my favorite people, and I think it was my favorite call of the week, but I was literally like all the way slouched in my chair, like eyes closed. I was like, hey guys, I'm here, but I'm just like, my eyes are bloodshot from working so much. Like I am just through this week. And it was because I'm enthusiastic about what we're doing. So I was putting in more hours than I normally do, because it's like stuff that I want to do, but not realizing like the amount of energy, like Steven said, that we were putting in was just not like balanced at all. There was like a 3-day span where I was just basically working, which again, like it's nice to enjoy what I'm doing this much, but I have to remember that I'm still human and I need to do other things besides just sit in front of a computer. So, yeah, definitely very exhausted by Friday, and took that time over the weekend to really get away from the computer. And I did go visit my father, who's 2 hours away in not Charlotte, in Clemson, South Carolina. And he's working on something that he is passionate about, probably actually more passionate about than what I do, just because he's been alive longer than I have. But he's working on this car that he has, a Miata, and just doing some cool new things that I haven't heard anyone else talk about before. And he's just like kind of has this passion project, which is cool, that he's kind of at that point in life where he can have passion projects and just, you know, spend time working on them just because he wants to. And he has all these cool ideas that he wants to get out there. So it was really fun spending time around him and just away from the computer. But it was one of those like moments after I was like done talking with him, I was headed home. I just was like, wow, I just learned so much like about not just like cars in general, but specifically about like this Miata and this engine and how things work, and how he's like theory crafting together like this thing that he's working on. And I was like, that was enjoyable, but I do feel like even more drained now, hanging out with someone who's just that passionate about something and like wants me to be as understanding about this thing that he is. Like I've worked on cars most of my life, but not nearly to the depth that he has, or even Steven. Like Steven's much more knowledgeable on cars and things like that. I'm more just a good second pair of hands who doesn't ask too many questions, but wants to like know about stuff. So it was a good like parallel that I could draw. And I think the ways that some of our content has come off in the past, where it's like we're very energetic kids and we want you guys to know this stuff. And so there have been times, especially when we started and Steven was doing like 4-hour like data calls, and he was like, I just want people to know data. And we're just like, fire hosing out all this stuff. And we have realized over time that there has to be like a balance. Like we want to be enthusiastic about what we're doing and show you like how exciting it is and the lifestyle that we can have now, where we do just get to sit in front of our computers and work on stuff that we enjoy. But at the same time, like we can't just show you everything that we're doing all at once and all of the knowledge that we have, because it's just way too overwhelming. And so, I don't know if I would say my dad's like the best teacher in the world, but I mean, we have the relationship now where I feel comfortable asking him what to him I'm sure seems like super basic questions, but he was able to answer them in a way and like put up with me asking the same question like 4 or 5 times, and just to explain things so I could like wrap my head around like what is going on. So it was a very enjoyable weekend. Sunday I basically just slept. It was great to like get ready for this week. Again, knowing that I'm going to be energetic and passionate about stuff that we're talking about. So I know, sorry, that was kind of a long rabbit trail.
The way I structured out tonight in the calls, in the question and answers is, I don't know about compartmentalized, if that's the word I want to use, but we're breaking down a lot of the frequently asked questions that we have in a way that it's like, this question is to address these people just getting started. This question is to just address these people that have gotten started but not having sales. These people are kind of the next level. They're having sales, but they're not knowing what to do next. I just want me and Nathaniel to have an open conversation. And what I'd really like to happen is wherever you guys are at, just let us know. And then I want more people than just us to leave comments and say, hey, I was here, XYZ, I did this. Because another thing that we're finding doing those 20-minute calls is the people that have been with us for a long time have actually helped other people. And they said that was a huge eye-opening experience. So I was like, okay, how can I help people hit those small wins and also encourage our group to each one teach one? I guess that's more of a Jamaican saying, but that's what I want to bring to our group. If you're learning something, don't feel like, oh, I don't know anything. You got to a level. You should have made a listing. If someone's never made a listing before, you should at least be able to help them with that from your viewpoint. Because I don't know how deep I want to go on this before I start answering this question, but we've been doing this for 15 years. It's very hard for me to remember how to start, especially never doing anything before and not having the indexing or SEO experience. So if somebody else is now finding a little bit of success in getting listings up, your advice to them might be even better than my advice. Because what I'm trying to do is remember 15 years ago and apply it to now, where I know the game has changed. Like the level that we are at, we're trying to solve these problems. It's difficult for me to remember. I mean, I could help you, but I think somebody else closer to you can help you out much better. We talked about this too, like going up the mountain. If we're in the middle of the mountain, it's hard to reach all the way back, but we can help the people right under us. And then those people should be able to reach all the way back so we can help more people. And I just want this call to be more of a communal conversation so that everybody can learn together.
Well, I just kind of did want to transition this call along into what we're going to be talking about tonight. It was fun to talk, but we have been known to ramble, and now that it's 6:20, I just want to make sure that we are talking about these points before we're on this call for 2 hours. So we are WingMan, in case you didn't know. My name is Nate Hibbert. This is my brother, Stephen Hibbert. I hope he's over to this side. I'm going to point to this side this week because I always say both sides, and I never remember which way. And so, yeah, that's what we want to do tonight is we want to show off some of the questions that we were getting throughout the week on these coaching calls that we keep talking about, and just do a little bit of a Q&A. Ask those common questions that we've seen, and we'll both give kind of our answers. Sometimes our answers go together, sometimes they're separate, but we just wanted to give our opinion. And like we said, we want to hear you guys' opinion as well, and hear where you guys are at and what you think, and any suggestions you have for any of the questions that we've seen, because we understand that we don't know it all, and we're not claiming to know it all. So we want your guys' input. If you have other advice, if you have other tips or tricks that could help this community, we want to bring everyone together to hopefully learn and just help everyone to move forward in this business.
Yeah, so I guess the first place we'll start is the people that have not started POD. I feel like we addressed this a little bit more in depth last week, but if you have not started and you're having success selling in a different format, I would stick with that because of the Q4 season. I wouldn't drop what you're doing to jump over to POD. But if you're just getting started and you want to start in POD, I would say the common question that we have is, what platform should I be starting on? And I would suggest Merch or KDP because there's a lot of organic traffic and Amazon offers a lot of positive benefits to being a part of their ecosystem. I think Merch might be the easiest platform to start with just because it is very hand-holdy through the whole situation and you get to tap into Amazon's, all their benefits. but you really only have to focus on the keywords and the art. And I think it just makes it the simplest platform to get a hold of. But there is a application process. And if you can't get in, then I would suggest KDP. I think KDP and Merch, at least to us, are extremely similar. The products they offer is different, but the way that we treat both of them is very similar. We do the research, we target the customers, then we build the products around those customers. With KDP, it's a little bit more technical. There's a lot more steps involved. You have to make the internals, the book covers. Sometimes they don't line up. Are you doing bleeds, the page count? There's just more steps. But as soon as you understand it, you can lock it in and go, okay, these are my keywords. This is my target audience. This is the art. This is the internals. I got it. Now I can start making books without limits, because Merch, every tier has another limit that you have to kind of go through.
Yeah, so I think equally as important as all the benefits that you get of working with Amazon, inside of working with Amazon, like Steven said, there's KDP and there's Merch by Amazon. And, it's good to focus on, whichever one you can get into. If you can't get into Merch, then focus on KDP. But I think it's also important to focus on like which one excites you more. Maybe that's not the best way to talk about it, but that's something that I've been realizing as I've been preaching on consistency, which I swear I've said on every call since I've started thinking about it. But the thing that helps me be consistent is this energy that I get when I think about working. And I think anytime I dread something, I just don't do it, or I'm not consistent with it. So whether it's, thinking about your designs and your, keywords and things, selling apparel like the sweatshirts and the hoodies and stuff that Merch by Amazon offers, or it's books, which for me, that's not exciting at all. But for my mother, she will either walk into Steven's room at 2 a.m. and ask him a question, or call me super early in the morning and just ask me questions, because that's a path that she's been going down. Her and Steven have been working on that. Their little series on YouTube, which has been really fun to watch for me, because I have basically no part of it besides answering some questions. But my mom loves books. She loved selling books when we were doing OARA. She still reads a ton of books. So her creating a book that she can call her own is exciting for her. And that's just not something that's exciting for me. So I was not super consistent with KDP. That's more of a Steven thing. When he needs help with artwork, I'm always there for him. But for my mom, that's been the thing that's kept her consistent. I was trying to teach her how to use Merch and help us with that, and she was just I'd rather do books. So I think that excitement, whatever you can enjoy thinking about, or whatever gives you energy when you're thinking about it, instead of dreading doing this thing, I think that is where you should be putting your energy.
Hey guys, I just want to take a second and interrupt this video. We are really trying to grow a community. We would really appreciate if you liked or commented or subscribed to this video. All right, thanks. Back to the video. The next step of that is you have a platform, you're putting a few listings up, you're getting 5 to 10 listings up. The very common question that we're hearing is, am I doing this right? Is this what I should be doing? How should I be addressing XYZ? When you're just getting started and you have that few listings up, it's a little difficult to know what's working, what's not working, but I would put more stock into getting the things done, the process more than the results, especially that new in the game. If you're getting some listings up, you should start to develop a process or a system to be consistent, but you're too new to the space to really know oh, this is going to work, this is going to click in. Something that me and Dale should talk more about is just how he got started. He was doing all of this by himself after work, putting 8 hours a day in. And it was, I don't remember the time frame on that, brother. I really don't, because I wasn't paying any attention to you because you stopped helping me. But I know it took months for you to even see some type of sales. And it was just that constantly going back to the well and being okay, I put up this many listings. I kind of know what's working. It's taking me a lot of time. And just grinding that first part out to gain understanding. POD is such a wide, there's so many products, there's so much everything to it, but Merch especially, it's when you're doing something new, there's so much information that you have to gain to find success. Just get a process and start getting more listings up. So if you just have 5, 10 listings and you're starting to second guess yourself, keep going, get more listings up, and start building a process to just get listings up. Find, like Nathaniel said, the parts of the business that you like to do and start leaning into those parts. Don't quit. You've gotten this far. I think when people start to click into building a system and putting a lot more understanding into how important a system is to get listings up, they start getting disappointed when they're not getting sales. Unfortunately, this happens like across the board. Like if you find out how to make a system and you can get 100 listings up in a week, you get impatient and you're like, hey, nothing is selling. Or if it takes like 6 months to find a system that works for you to get 100 listings up, you kind of might have the same problem. Hey, I've been trying to do this for 6 months and I don't have a sale. Just getting a listing up is a huge undertaking. It might not seem like it, but it is a lot of things that you have to put together to actually get the listing live. Like you should celebrate that. As soon as you start getting, oh, now I've found a rhythm for making listings, celebrate that. If you're not having sales, then it's going back and looking at the data. And that's what Nathaniel was talking about, is going, trying to find your listings. Where are they showing up? Are they showing up? If they're not showing up, it's more than likely a keyword or an SEO problem. That is what I'm going to be attempting to do, is show a lot more of that training and just explaining keywords.
Yeah, and to use some of the, again, knowledge that we're learning from doing these coaching calls or 20-minute calls, we have realized that a lot of people are coming from more of a private label mindset, and it's a lot of the same like verbiage that we're using. Like you need to do good keyword research and you need to figure out like the product and build the product and understand that. But I think the actual like take action, I don't know, we call it like a hairpin trigger. It's a little bit different, like where you're actually putting products out into the world. So for private label, you're doing all of that research and it takes a long time to do the research, make sure you found the right product, found all the right keywords. And it's like, you know, a month at the smallest amount of time you'll spend on something to actually get it to market. But with print on demand, you kind of need to flip that on its head and be like, okay, I'm ready to, you know, move on this idea. I want to go after this certain niche. And actually, we found the most beneficial thing to do is just to start putting those listings up in that niche. Even if you don't think your artwork is the best, even if you don't think your keywords are the most targeted, but remembering the advantage that we have with print on demand is the fact that the products aren't actually built, or, you know, we're not charged for them until the customer purchases. So we want to use that to our advantage, where let's just get these listings up and see. And yes, we want to improve over time as we're making these listings. Yes, we want to be more accurate with who we're going after when we're making these listings. But those are kind of lessons that we can learn along the way. And as we say, you get to learn as you, you get to earn as you learn with print on demand. So as you're putting these listings up, to not have some of those reserves that you have with private label, because, you know, you have to put up the money up front with private label. And again, we're not trying to speak down on private label. We're not trying to say to stop doing private label. You know, we fully understand that people are making a great living doing that. We've made a lot of money doing private label in the past, but for us, print on demand works better. And I just want to bring, you know, to picture here that there is two different mindsets. Kind of with the private label, you have to be a little bit more cautious. With print on demand, you don't have to have those same reserves. You can be a little bit more active with your energy and to actually make these listings. So you can just do some quick keyword research. You can do some quick art inside of Spark, get that stuff up, and then try to go back and really dig into like what's working here. As you know, when you first start off, you can only make like 1 to 3 listings a day. Make those 3 listings and then go do more research and, you know, make more you know, targeted or more robust listings in the future, instead of just with like private label where you're doing all this stuff and you just have to wait and then you only put it out into like 1 listing and 1 product. You know, it's just a different mindset that you have to get into. So again, that's from, you know, all the coaching calls that we're doing. We're hearing a lot of people coming from the private label world or having a lot of private label knowledge and trying to apply that to print on demand. And kind of like with design, where I say don't be a graphic designer, it's kind of the same thing when it comes to running a print on demand business. Like don't bring that private label mindset into print on demand. You can definitely bring all of your knowledge from private label, but that like reserve that you might feel, or this has to be the perfect thing, or even as an artist, that was something that I had to battle. Like basically the first month of learning about print on demand, I didn't put anything up because I was like, you know, I want this to be the perfect listing. I want it to have all of the correct keywords. I want it correct. I want it to have like this awesome piece of artwork. But that's not the right thing, because these listings that we're putting up don't like represent who I am as an artist. Like, I'm running a business here. We've realized having more lines in the water is better than having one perfect, line in the water. So we just want to keep putting stuff out there, see what's working, and adjust, looking at those patterns that we're seeing, and be able to do better moving forward. So that was again, something that we're seeing from doing all these calls is like a lot of people bringing that knowledge over here, and it's good, but it doesn't quite apply for print on demand.
Yeah, I guess for me, when people are asking me that question, I would ask them more questions to try to gauge where they're at. Because at this point, if you're starting at sales, like the levels that you can be at of understanding are wildly different. I'm just trying to clarify before I give any advice, like catered to, I guess that's really why we started doing these 20-minute calls, was we're getting a lot of questions and it's hard for me to answer them because I almost feel like I need a little bit more information to give better advice. Like, I can give general advice, but it might not be usable for you if you go, why is he telling me to build a process? I have a process. I have a customer base. I'm starting to get sales. Like, what are you talking about? Or on the flip side of like, I just put up 5 shirts and now 2 of these are selling really well. What's my next step? Like, they're just wildly different advice that I would give. So being able to ask a little bit more questions. If that is you and you're having sales, I mean, we're still doing those 20-minute calls till the end of the month. Definitely reach out to us. This is just very difficult for me to answer. That's why I wanted Nathaniel to kind of go back and just tell his story, because it is a process. There is like, I get started, I build a process for getting listings up. I either have some sales or I don't have sales. I need to be consistent to get enough sales up and be patient enough and trust myself to be able to understand what's working and what's not working. Should I be focusing more on keywords? Should I be focusing more on art? Then when stuff starts to sell, really step back and reflect on what is happening here. It was a lot of me and Nathaniel having those conversations to go, oh, he's starting to have a lot more consistent sales. I think this is what's going on. Let's test this. It wasn't like, oh, here's what's going on and I know exactly what to do next. It's, this is what I think is going on. Now let's go back to the market and test it. And that's why I love POD, because you can just keep testing the market and refining your knowledge. The earn as you learn, I think that's truly where it comes into play. Is you're putting a lot of listings up. You don't have the exact answer, but you can test the market or the platform and get a better understanding of what's going on the more listings that you put up. And the more listings that you put up is the more lines in the water. Like, it's just a snowball effect of all of these things working together. I have a consistent way to get listings up. I'm getting a lot more listings up. I'm having sales. I'm testing the market in this way. I'm now understanding my business. Now I need to do the next step, which is scaling and building a business. And I guess we'll talk about that more next week, because that was a lot of questions that we were getting. I wasn't going to address that tonight, but how do you scale? Like, at that point where you start to have that snowball effect, like, where should you be going after that? I do want to address that overwhelming feeling, because I know almost every call that we had, that was a problem that was coming up. Plus,
especially
I was getting
now
PM'd a lot and just saying, hey, I've been listening to you guys. I am starting to feel overwhelmed. What should I be doing? And then they'd like lay out their situation, and then I would give more exact advice. I don't have a problem doing that. I just want to like give a reassurance to that overwhelming feeling. We feel that too. That's exactly what happened to us. Well, I wouldn't say exactly. That is a part of what happened last week, was that overwhelming feeling. We've just dealt with it a lot to be able to, me and Nathaniel, communicate to go, okay, why did we feel that overwhelmed? So it's not just an overwhelming feeling for feeling overwhelmed. It was an overwhelming feeling because we got super excited about so much stuff that we were doing that we just were dumping a ton of time and energy into it. Okay, the process for us to get out of this is just, let's take a break. Let's take the next 2 days. I love you, but I don't want to talk to you. Re-energize myself and then come back Monday fresh. I think Nathaniel wraps this up a little bit better, but I do want to just say, like, if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's okay. It's a natural thing. Don't feel like I'm doing a horrible job. It's a natural feeling, especially in Q4, because you feel like this pressure that's coming on, and then close to the Black Friday, that's when it kind of like decompresses, because a lot of sales are happening there, especially if you're doing OA and RA. I know that's like, I've spent all this money. It's Q4. People are saying that things are supposed to fly off the shelf, and they're not. Like, just wait a little bit. Keep rolling with Q4. If you've been here before, you kind of know that rocketing feeling when it does take off. But I would encourage you, whatever business model you're doing, keep at it. Even if you're starting to feel overwhelmed, find a way to decompress and like trust yourself.
You know, I don't know. Well, I still don't feel like we're teachers. I definitely don't feel like we're people to like give you life advice. But we just love talking to our community. We hope that we can share some of this experience that we've had in the past and some of the failures that we've gone and just, show people like, yes, you do have these, lows and these highs. And just try to keep it somewhat balanced, try to find a way, like Steven said, to, uncompress some of this like tension or, anger that or excitement even that you're having about this business in a healthy way. So we love answering questions for you guys. We really like doing tonight's call. I think Steven said this before, if everything we did was a Q&A, I think we'd be just as happy as could be, because we just like talking with you guys, and we like having this like common knowledge where we're all coming together and building this thing together. And it's not just me and Steven like, still learning lessons and trying to bring them to the forefront. We want to hear from you guys. We want to know that you're feeling overwhelmed. We want you to share that so other people can feel encouraged, like, oh yeah, I'm feeling overwhelmed too this week. Thanks for letting me know, like, at least I'm not alone in this thing. And even, in chat as we're here live and, before, like Steven said, all the PMs that we got last week, like, people are just expressing that. And so if we can be a place where we can all come together and work together on, these feelings that we're having and the emotions of, having this online business as well as the logical stuff, I think that definitely helps. There are a few things we want to do with what we are learning. One of the things that we're thinking about is putting together some small groups. So if that's something that you're interested in and having a smaller section of the community, we don't know if that's like, you work directly together on your business, or if we're just like coming together to decompress after long weeks, or what that looks like exactly. But if you're interested in something like that, definitely let us know in the comments of wherever you're watching this. So we can just gauge the interest in that. And then we can start putting, some people together and talking with people in smaller groups and see kind of where that goes. We're just interested in that. Again, we want to build a community here. And we think doing it in small groups is a really impactful way to reach, a larger audience. Instead of everyone jump on this call at this time, like, let's just get together in smaller groups and kind of, figure out how we can best work together. So if you're watching this, something that you can do to not only help us, to help other people as well see this video, is leaving a like on Facebook or a comment wherever you're watching. That helps us grow the community here. That will help you maybe find people that you will connect with just because of all the algorithms and how this works. So we would appreciate if you do that. But if you do want to talk with us one-on-one or one-on-two, however that works, we are still doing these 20-minute calls. And I've posted, in the comments that you guys can click that link. And if it's in the description of the video, please click on that and sign up for a time with us. Right before the call, we were like, do we want to promote this? Because we already kind of have full schedules. But we do. We have put apart the time to talk with you guys. We do want to keep meeting with you, and that's going to go until the end of the month. And so then we'll kind of calculate all the things that have happened and take a step back and see what we can do with all this information and all the conversations that we had. But for me, that's breathing life back into this thing. Like I've said a little bit earlier, I'm not getting to go to all these conferences and meeting all these people that I was before. So being able to do that now online is a great way for us to stay connected with this community and see what type of information you guys want to see. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you're still here, we'd appreciate if you could leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to the channel. It helps us build the Wingman University community, and we are thankful that you're a part of it. So until the next one, we'll see you guys around.
Cool, box it up.
So